Benjamin's 60th birthday party was in full swing when I arrived, running late as usual. Not that anyone would notice, I was never the center of attention at these family gatherings. That honor belonged to my stepsister, the successful one. I adjusted my simple navy dress as I walked into the modest suburban home where I'd lived for the past 10 years. The sound of laughter and conversation drifted from the living room, where my stepfamily was celebrating another milestone in their picture-perfect lives. "Nora, you finally made it." My stepmother's voice carried across the hallway, laced with familiar irritation. "Everyone's been waiting." I gave her a polite hug, catching the scent of her department store perfume. "Sorry, I had some research to finish up." She sighed heavily. "Still doing that freelance medical consulting?" Before I could answer, my stepsister Hazel appeared, wine glass in hand. At 29, she was the family's shining star, CEO of MedFlow, the AI healthcare startup that had been making headlines for months. "Nora." Her embrace felt calculated, like everything else about her. "We were just talking about my latest funding round. $300 million in Series B." She stepped back, studying me with mock sympathy. "How's your, what do you call it again? Medical research?" I bit back a smile, thinking of the lab meeting I'd just left at BioCorp. "Still consulting. Healthcare organizations, mostly." "That's sweet." Hazel's smile was razor-sharp. "You know, MedFlow is always looking for part-time consultants. Entry-level medical advisory roles, of course, but it could be a stepping stone. Better than wasting your PhD on whatever it is you're doing now." If she only knew what I'd been doing for the past 5 years. While they thought I was struggling as a freelance consultant, I'd been leading BioCorp's most groundbreaking cancer research program. My team had developed the core algorithms that Hazel's company was now claiming as their own innovation. "I'm content with my work," I said quietly. Hazel exchanged a meaningful glance with my stepmother. "Well, when you're ready to join the real world of modern medicine, let me know." I followed them into the living room, where the family success story was on full display. Benjamin, my stepfather, sat in his favorite armchair, sharing stories from his banking days with anyone who would listen. My stepbrother Landon, a financial analyst at a major firm, was showing off photos of his new downtown condo. The conversation buzzed with talk of investments, promotions, and media appearances. "Nora." Benjamin called out when he spotted me. "Come here, sweetheart." "Still buried in those medical books?" I accepted a glass of wine from the kitchen counter. "I keep busy, Benjamin." "Busy isn't the same as successful," he said with a chuckle. "Look at Hazel, she's revolutionizing healthcare with artificial intelligence. And Landon just got promoted to senior analyst. That's the kind of forward thinking this family is known for." I thought about the patent documents locked in my desk drawer at BioCorp. The ones that would completely reshape how this family viewed success and innovation. Speaking of success, Hazel chimed in, "Have you heard about our latest breakthrough? We're launching 3 new AI diagnostic tools next quarter. TechCrunch is calling us the future of personalized medicine." What Hazel didn't know was that all 3 tools were built on algorithms my team had developed at BioCorp. The core machine learning models, the data processing methods, even the user interface designs, they were all variations of research I'd published under my pseudonym 2 years ago. "How exciting," I murmured. "It is," she gushed. "Benjamin says we'll revolutionize cancer treatment within the year. The whole family name is going to be associated with medical innovation." I took another sip of wine, thinking about the patent violation reports sitting on my lab computer. MedFlow was built on stolen intellectual property. Their investor presentations were filled with promises based on research they'd never conducted. And tomorrow morning, everything would change. "Nora," my stepmother touched my arm, "did you see that Hazel was just featured in Forbes 30 Under 30? Blood really does tell, doesn't it?" "Very impressive," I agreed, though I knew the feature was part of a coordinated PR campaign to boost MedFlow's valuation. "You could have achieved something like that," my stepmother continued. "You had such potential with that medical degree." Everyone thought you'd make a real difference in healthcare. I had left traditional academic medicine 5 years ago, tired of the bureaucracy and slow pace. Instead of publishing papers that gathered dust, I'd joined BioCorp's research division under an assumed name. My team's discoveries were now saving lives in clinical trials around the world, though no one here knew their family's underachiever was behind the breakthroughs. Medicine evolves, Margaret. Speaking of evolution, Hazel announced loudly, drawing everyone's attention, I have huge news. MedFlow just secured our Series C funding. $500 million at a $2 billion valuation. The room erupted in cheers and congratulations. Benjamin practically glowed with pride, while Landon started calculating the family's potential windfall out loud. Nora, Hazel turned to me with condescending sweetness, you should consider investing your savings. A small stake might help you finally build some real financial security. I thought about my research team working late tonight, finalizing the patent infringement documentation for tomorrow's legal filing. I'll consider it. Poor dear, I heard my stepmother whisper to Benjamin. She just never found her place in the real world, did she? All that education wasted. Benjamin nodded sadly. 10 years we've supported her, and what does she have to show for it? I checked my phone, knowing what was coming. Right on schedule, a message appeared from Chloe, my research team leader, patent documentation complete. Legal filing ready for 9 a.m. tomorrow. Hazel noticed me checking my phone. Work emergency? She smirked. One of your little healthcare clients having trouble? Something like that, I smiled. Actually, I've been curious about MedFlow's diagnostic algorithms. I heard there were some questions about the underlying research methodology. Hazel's smile faltered slightly. The algorithm sourcing issues weren't public knowledge yet. Where did you hear that? Oh, you know how information travels in the medical research community. I watched her carefully, especially when a company is preparing for major funding announcements. Everything is proprietary and original, she said firmly, but I could see the uncertainty flickering in her eyes. The Series C will close as scheduled. If only she knew that BioCorp had spent the last year documenting every instance of patent infringement, or that we'd already contacted the major investors with preliminary evidence of intellectual property theft. Of course, I said gently. I'm sure everything will work out exactly as it should. The birthday party continued into the evening, filled with talk of Hazel's achievements and subtle criticisms of my career choices. I sat through it all, sipping wine and waiting for the right moment. You know, Nora, Hazel tried one more time as guests began to leave, you should really consider joining MedFlow. Family should help family, right? I looked at her thoughtfully. You know what, Hazel? You're absolutely right. Family should help family. And tomorrow, I'm going to help you understand something very important about medical research. She laughed, completely missing the edge in my voice. What could you possibly teach me about cutting-edge healthcare technology? You'd be surprised, I murmured, checking my phone one last time. Everything was in place. In less than 12 hours, this family would learn that real innovation doesn't come from stolen algorithms or flashy press releases. Sometimes it sits quietly in the background, developing the very breakthroughs that others claim as their own. The next morning, I sat in my modest BioCorp office, watching the sunrise through the laboratory windows. In exactly 1 hour, the medical technology world would learn that MedFlow's revolutionary AI was built on stolen research. The patent infringement filing is ready, my research team leader Chloe announced from the doorway. And our legal team has confirmed all the documentation. I nodded, straightening my simple lab coat, standard attire for days like this. And Hazel? Already at MedFlow headquarters, preparing for her investor presentation. She's scheduled a press conference for 9:30. A conference that would take a very different turn than expected. Perfect timing, I murmured. My phone buzzed. A message from Hazel, last chance to get in on the ground floor. Family investment opportunity before we go public. I set the phone down without replying. Instead, I opened my laptop to review the morning's legal filing one last time. BioCorp Industries files comprehensive patent infringement lawsuit against MedFlow Technologies. Multiple violations of proprietary AI diagnostic algorithms documented. At exactly 9 a.m., the news broke. I watched on multiple screens as the story spread across medical technology networks. Breaking: MedFlow hit with major patent lawsuit. AI healthcare startup accused of algorithm theft. BioCorp claims stolen technology worth hundreds of millions. My phone exploded with notifications. Hazel called 6 times in 2 minutes. Benjamin's name flashed across my screen repeatedly. Even Landon, the financial analyst, was trying to reach me. At 9:15, Chloe appeared again. They're all here. Your entire family just arrived at the lab. I smiled. Bring them to the conference room. Hazel burst through the door first, her polished appearance already disheveled with panic. What is this? You can't file lawsuits against family. We're announcing our funding today. Benjamin was right behind her, his face flushed with confusion. Where is the research director? I demand to speak with whoever is in charge. Benjamin? Margaret? They froze at my voice. I think you already are. The silence that followed was crushing. Hazel's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Benjamin gripped the conference table for support. My stepmother pressed a hand to her throat, her simple gold necklace catching the light. That's impossible, Hazel finally whispered. I stood slowly, savoring the moment. Is it? Let's see. Dr. Nora Chen, lead researcher at BioCorp for 5 years, currently heading the Oncology AI division. Published over 30 papers on machine learning applications in cancer diagnosis. I paused. Ring any bells? You're Dr. Chen? Landon stammered. The one whose algorithms are being used in clinical trials nationwide? The very same. I picked up a thick folder from the table. Would you like to see the patent documentation, Hazel? The real research data, not the stolen algorithms you've been presenting to investors? She lunged for the folder, hands trembling as she flipped through the pages. This is confidential research. How did you? Your diagnostic tool is built on my team's cancer detection algorithm, I stated calmly. Your patient monitoring system uses our cardiac rhythm analysis code. Even your user interface is based on designs I published 2 years ago. Should I continue? Benjamin found his voice. Now wait just a minute. No, I cut him off. You wait. For years, you've dismissed my medical research as impractical book learning. Meanwhile, your precious daughter has been stealing my work and calling it innovation. I pressed a button on the wall display, and screens lit up with side-by-side comparisons of my published research in MedFlow's patent applications. Every major breakthrough MedFlow claims is based on algorithms my team developed, I continued. The only thing original about your company, Hazel, is how brazenly you've committed intellectual property theft. Hazel collapsed into a chair, her designer blazer wrinkled. Why? Why would you do this to family? I laughed bitterly. Family? The same family that told me my PhD was worthless? The same family that offered me part-time consulting work out of pity? We were trying to help you find practical applications for your education, my stepmother protested weakly. No, you were trying to diminish me. To make me feel grateful for scraps. I walked around the table. But real innovation isn't about flashy presentations or media coverage. It's about rigorous research and ethical practices. So this is revenge? Benjamin demanded. This is science, I corrected him. BioCorp protects intellectual property and holds companies accountable for theft. The fact that this one is run by my stepsister is, let's call it poetic justice. Landon stepped forward, adjusting his suit jacket. MedFlow's investors would never accept this. I'll have my contacts. The investors already know, I interrupted. We sent them the evidence this morning. Check your phone. As if on cue, their phones began buzzing with news alerts. Medflow's valuation was already crashing as the financial world reacted to the patent lawsuit. Hazel looked up from her phone, tears smudging her makeup. "You've destroyed everything I built." "No," I said firmly. "I've exposed what you stole." BioCorp develops life-saving treatments through legitimate research. In 6 months, our cancer detection algorithms will be helping patients worldwide with proper attribution this time. "And what happens to us?" my stepmother asked quietly. I gestured to new documents on the display screens. Medflow can license our technology legally, with appropriate royalty payments. Fair compensation for the research you've been using. And, I smiled slightly, I might have some research assistant positions available. You know, entry-level opportunities to learn real science. The irony wasn't lost on them. Hazel stood up abruptly, smoothing her wrinkled blazer. "You won't get away with this." "I already have." I sat back down at the conference table. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have clinical trials to oversee." They left in stages. First Landon, already on the phone with Medflow's legal team. Then Benjamin, supporting a devastated Hazel. My stepmother lingered at the door. "All this time," she said softly, "you were leading groundbreaking medical research." "All this time," I confirmed, "while you were embarrassed by my impractical education." She shook her head slowly. "I don't understand how we missed this." "No," I agreed. "You were too busy dismissing what you didn't value." After they left, I walked to the lab windows, watching researchers work on the next breakthrough. Chloe appeared with fresh coffee. "Medflow's press conference has been cancelled," she reported. "The patent office has fast-tracked our filings, and several medical journals want to interview you about the stolen research. The family connection is already making headlines." I smiled. Let the science speak for itself. Results matter more than publicity. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Hazel, "I hope you're satisfied. You've ruined everything I worked for." I typed back, "No, Hazel. I've just shown you what real medical innovation looks like." Over the next few months, BioCorp's cancer research program gained international recognition. Our algorithms, properly credited, began saving lives in hospitals across 3 continents. The stolen technology case became a landmark ruling for intellectual property protection in medical AI. I kept my promise about research opportunities. Landon surprised everyone by enrolling in a biostatistics program. Hazel declined, but Benjamin actually accepted a position in our ethics review board. Turns out he had valuable insights about research integrity when he wasn't busy promoting stolen innovations. I kept my promise about research opportunities. Landon now works in our biostatistics department, starting from the ground up, of course. Hazel declined her offer, but Benjamin surprised everyone by accepting a position as an ethics consultant. Turns out he actually understands research integrity when he's not busy promoting stolen innovations. The next family gathering was different. Benjamin still hosted his birthday parties at the suburban house, though the guest list was notably smaller. The usual boasting was replaced by more thoughtful conversations about actual accomplishments. And me? I sat in the same spot as always, sipping wine and observing. Nora, Hazel approached near the end of the evening, her outfit more modest than before. "I've been thinking about what you said about real innovation." She hesitated. "Would that research assistant position still be available?" I studied her for a moment. "Come by the lab on Monday. We'll discuss it." As I drove home that night, I thought about success and its many definitions. My stepfamily had always measured it in media coverage, funding rounds, and flashy presentations. But real success, I'd learned, was about creating something that genuinely helps people even if your name never appears in the headlines. The next morning, I arrived at BioCorp early. The company logo glowed against the dawn sky, while in the parking lot below, a Medflow company car sat abandoned with a for sale sign. Chloe met me with my usual coffee. "The clinical trial review is set for 10 o'clock. The FDA wants to fast-track our new cancer screening protocol. I smiled, thinking of another healthcare startup I'd been monitoring. One run by former colleagues who'd always dismissed my research as too theoretical for real-world applications. Perfect timing, I said. Let's show them what genuine medical innovation looks like.